All right, good afternoon, guys. This is my afternoon session um, at 1 o'clock here, just a couple minutes after 1. Just seeing who's all in here for today's session. I posted it on Microsoft Teams. Looks like I got somebody's in here. If you could say hello, you could write on the side chat bar there for today's session. I'm still going to present and talk about the project. You have a plant project due on Friday. We're researching 3 types of plants in your neighborhood, in your backyard. I'm going to go over some things on plants here too. Just probably wait a few more minutes as some more people come on in. Like I said, there's only one person in here at this moment. You could write something, how your afternoon's going. I had a lot of people this morning, or the most I had this morning. I think 12, 13 viewers at once. So this is the time to kind of ask any questions that you may have about the project, brain pop, um, and plants in general. Okay, I got Veryl. All right. Hi, Veryl. How are you? All right. I know you were in my morning session there as well. So yeah, and I think you cut out a little bit early. All right, good. I'm glad you're doing well. Good to see you on here. Like I said, there's only a few people in here at this moment. We'll wait for another few minutes here, I guess, to see if some other students come in. Do you have any questions, Veryl? Do you about the project, about plants in general? Just time to ask. Um, I'm doing good, Veryl. Thanks for asking. I'm doing great. Okay. It's a nice afternoon, a little cooler than yesterday. If we get a chance to go outside later. Okay, you still on here, Veryl? Okay. You asked there, do we have to draw a picture for the plants? You don't have to draw a picture for the plant. If you want to, that's great. But you don't have to draw a picture or take a picture of this one. All I'm asking is research to be done on the plant. Okay. The 3 types of, or not 5 main important parts of the plant. I'll just review those with you again. That is the roots, the stems, the leaves. Okay. Um, the flowers and the seeds. So whatever plant you have in your backyard, you can research using those parts there, those 5 main functions and how they work. Because like you said, there's gonna be different types of plants in your backyard. You're gonna compare and contrast them. All right, so that'll be for this project. So for example, Spanish moss. Mr. Canlu had that one in his video there too the other day. That's a non-vascular plant. Even though it grows in trees, you may have some in your backyard if you have some oak trees in your backyard. All right, so you could actually pull that right off the trees. You can take a look at it. They don't have any root stems or leaves, but they're going to have other flowering and seed parts to it. So there's some things you could research on Spanish moss. All right. Any other questions that you may have, Veryl? Or who else is on here? Like I said, there's only one other person in here at this moment. So this is a time that I'm available, open and available for questions on plants. I've covered plants earlier this morning in my morning lecture and went over some of the topics and vocabulary. You have a brain pop also due on Friday, so you have a few days to get some of this stuff turned in. This is my last time I'm live for today. Okay, so that is the live session here. Okay, for this week. Today, Monday and Wednesdays here. Okay, you wrote here. I chose aloe vera corn plant. I don't know the words on the other one. You said aloe vera corn, and I can't make out the spelling on those other ones there. Or what you mean by them? Croton and Dracaena plant. So I'm not sure on that. But yeah, aloe vera and corn, those would be fine. If you have those in your backyard, that would work. I'm not too sure on that last those last words that you mentioned there too. Okay, you still in here, Vero? Any other questions you may have about the plants or anybody else in here? It looks like there's only two people, you and maybe somebody else. Any other questions that you may have? Well, I'll just start talking about why plants are important. Again, here, just going over some things on that I restated earlier, just while I'm open and available during this time. Um, all right, yes, I am. No more questions. Okay, good. Got your message there. Um, if you want to interact with some things I have up here too, Vero, and listen to a few things I'm going to talk about, you can interact with me that way too. If you're on here. Um, I stated some of these things earlier, just kind of just reviewing some things. Why are plants important? Do you know why plants are important? Without plants on Earth, um, what would probably happen in our environment if we didn't have plants? Some things, if you want to write your answer on the side there on your sidebar. So, why are plants important? If we didn't have plants on our planet, what could possibly happen? Okay, looks like you're still on here, which is good. So, why are plants important, Vera? What do you think? All right, there would be no oxygen. Very good. That would be one thing. Okay, very good on that. So oxygen is a very important key that we need, or element that we need. Very good. So they help produce oxygen. They are also a primary source of food. All right, they help keep us cool. Plants as well too, and shade trees, and they help renew or filter our air. Okay, so those are some things on why the plants are important in our environment. Um, like I said, renewing the air, producing oxygen, things that we need. They provide home for wildlife. So they give us beautiful surroundings around us. So they provide a lot of importance to us. Okay. All right. Just kind of moving on. I'm going to talk a little bit just about the types or the functions of the plants, or just plants in general here. These are some essential things that plants need. They need nutrients. They need nutrients such as soil, water, and sunlight for them to grow. If they don't have those three things, they're most likely not going to grow. So they need soil in the ground, the water from rain, okay, or streams and stuff like that, some of the ones that are around water, and they need sunlight. So they need those three things for them to grow. Plant photosynthesis, which is found in the leaves, which I'll get into the leaves as well. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants make food. They make sugar and energy. So, can you tell me there, Vero, what is the breakdown of photosynthesis? What was in it? I kind of just basically said a few things here of its components, but anything else on photosynthesis that you would like to provide if you're still on here? Assume you're still on here because there's a couple people in here. Assuming you're still here, Vero. Oh, okay. To repeat that, very good. What is photosynthesis? What's in photos? What is photosynthesis? So hopefully you heard that. Okay. Oh, Carly in here too. Okay, I got a few more people too. Hi, Carly. I'm asking a question about photosynthesis. If you could write it on your sidebar there for those in here, Carly, Viral. Okay, the process when plants turn sunlight into sugar. Very good. Excellent. Good job there. Good job there, Viral. All right, sunlight provides energy, and if the air provides carbon dioxide, and nutrients are absorbed in the roots. So photosynthesis occurs in chloroplasts in the leaves. Okay, and the sugars are made as food for the plant and oxygen is released. Very good. All right. Um, Talking about the four basic, well, let me go back on photosynthesis here. I want to talk about another process with photosynthesis. Well, I'll kind of go into that with the leaf, which is the next one I'm going to talk about, I believe. Leaves, stems, roots, flowers, and seeds, the basic part. So the leaf, all right, definition of a leaf is a flattened outgrowth of the stem, okay? It is used for photosynthesis, transpiration, and respiration. Those are two important terms, transpiration and respiration, okay? What is respiration? What does that mean? Anybody that's in this room here right now? Vero or Carly, if you want to answer, what is respiration? If you guys want to interact there, respiration. I'm asking you guys. Vero, you answered that very nicely. The last one on photosynthesis. If you want to try answering that one again, that'll be great. The next one here is respiration. Talked about it earlier in the earlier segment. What is respiration? This is dealing with the leaves of the plant and photosynthesis. Okay, excellent. How plants breathe. Good job, Vero. Okay, respiration is how it breathes. Very good. All right, so respiration it produces the leaves actually produce food used by the plant and it's stored for later use, and that's actually how they breathe is respiration. So plants, leaves, shapes and sizes they vary among plants and are used for identification as well of the plants. Okay, I'll talk about some of the parts of the leaf here, the blade, the midrib, the edges, the veins. Those are some other parts of the leaves here too. Okay, the external anatomy, they call that of the leaf. All right, so um, the blade is also known as the lamina. Is another scientific term for it. It's flat, expanded, broad part of the leaf. All right. Most important part of the leaf is used for food manufacture, and it has veins, and it forms structures for support of the leaf. Okay, the blade itself. Now the midrib is the center vein. Okay, in the it's like so if you had a leaf, it'd be the large vein in the middle of that leaf. So that's the midrib. That's the center vein, as they call that. The midrib is the name for that. And the veins are very important. If you took a leaf and you put under a microscope from a like just pulling one off of a tree, you will see there's small little veins attached to the midrib, the middle part, and they kind of branch all over the place. So these are systems of tubes. Okay, these veins, and they call them xylem and phloem, and they transport in the brain pop. If you did the brain pop, xylem is a duct that brings water and minerals from the roots into the plant. In phloem are ducts that usually move sap, which is dissolved sucrose produced by photosynthesis in the leaf, or out of the leaf. So it kind of pushes it out of the leaf, the phloem. So one kind of pushes it towards the xylem. It brings the minerals from the roots to the leaves, and then the phloem it dissolves and it pushes it out of the leaf. Okay, so they kind of work together. So those are a couple important terms. You can state those in your project, or if you have when you're researching your plant, discuss maybe the difference between the xylem and phloem, a couple of vocabulary words on the veins. Okay. Any other questions so far? Looks like I have 5 people in here now. For those who just joined on plants, your project, when it's due Friday. Researching 3 plants in your backyard. Just kind of going over some of the basic parts of the plants. I'm talking about leaves right now and photosynthesis. All right, and how they relate to one another. All right, and the next part of the leaf where the edges, they call those the margins. Okay, and they help with identifying plants because all different plants have different leaf structures, what they look like poison ivy had 3 leaves and so on. Aloe vera might look different. I know Farrell mentioned that for one of his plants to do. All right, so they're going to look a little bit different by the edges of the plant. Okay. All right, so that pretty much wraps up some things on the leaf, okay? And then I'm going to move on to um, the next. Oh wait, there's one more part of the leaf I want to talk about. It's called the stoma. Okay, the stoma are small holes. They're open, then closed by guard cells, and this how acts how the plant breathes and transpires. So respiration is breathing. Transpiration. What does transpiration mean? Does anyone know that word? Anyone still in here? Transpiration. I got a few people in here. Want to take a guess what transpiration is? You can write it on the sidebar there, the live chat bar. So what is transpiration? Transpiration. What is transpiration? Anybody on in here? Okay, respiration means breathing. So transpiration, if you don't know, that's okay. Transpiration is the loss of water from the leaves. So it helps draw water up through the plant from the roots. So it kind of is the loss of the water. So one's breathing it in, and it's actually like kind of pushing that water out through the leaf there. So it draws up through the plant from the roots is transpiration. Okay. All right, exhalation of the plant. Very good. Exhalation of the plant is transpiration. So it's more the loss of the water from air. Good job, Beryl, for answering that there. Good job. Okay. Um, moving on to the stem. All right, I believe is the next part that I want to talk about here. Okay. Well, I'll talk about chloroplast too, because that's part of photosynthesis, and chloroplast and chlorophyll kind of work together. So chloroplasts contain chlorophyll located inside the food making cells. Okay, so chloroplast and chlorophyll kind of work together there. Um, just to reiterate, photosynthesis is the process by which CO2 and H2O in the presence of sunlight are converted into sugar and oxygen, and this makes the plant food. Okay, and we should know that. We talked about that a lot. So respiration again, just to review, plants respire 24 hours a day, constantly respiring. Okay, so they consume oxygen and nutrients, and you give off carbon dioxide and water. All right, I'm going to move on to the stems, which are next. All right, let's see here. It looks like I have another question coming through here. Carly says, yes. Okay. You say you're growing pepper in your backyard. Okay. All right. Pepper's a plant. Very good. Type of plant. Yes, that's one you could do as well. Try to find a couple other ones that you could compare it to. Other types of plants. So yeah, these could be like crops that you grow too, like corn and so on. Pepper. All right. Veryl's mentioned aloe vera and corn, I believe. So yeah, all right, very good. And Veril says the stem is used to transport water throughout the plant. Okay, very good. You are on the right lines there. It helps for the movement of water. Very good. From the minerals going up from the roots, and movement of manufactured food going down. So food going down, mineral movement of water coming up through the stems. Very good. So those are its functions. So good job answering that, Veril. All right. They also support leaves and reproductive structures too, the stems. Okay, so they help support them. All right, the stem functions also are used for food storage and reproduction of the plant. Okay, and green stems manufacture food just as leaves do too. Okay, all right. Okay, I talked about xylem and phloem. There's another part in between the xylem and phloem that separates the two and produces new cells called cambium, and that can be found in the leaves and in the stem as well as the xylem, phloem, and cambium cells. Okay, that's another one that you might have seen possibly on the brain pop there too. All right, roots. Moving on to roots next. Any other questions so far? Um, okay, Carly, yes, and birds and squirrels. Okay, yeah. Corn, if you have corn, you could use corn too, but I understand they might not be in season at this time. So, and other animals too. Yes, that could have definitely affected them and the growth of them. Very good. Okay. All right. Um, Roots. What could you guys tell me about roots, Carly or Vero in here? What are the function of roots? Just from reviewing from the other day and kind of going into a couple other um, parts of roots that I talked earlier on today. Like I said, you can go back into these lessons and or these discussions and listen. So, what could you guys tell me about roots? What are the function of roots? We did stems and leaves so far. What are the functions of the roots? So if you want to type your answer in the sidebar there, that would be great. Okay, it looks like I have an answer here. Okay, roots take water from the ground and feed the plants. Very good, Beryl. Nice, nicely done. Okay, all right. So they could be above or underground. Roots, majority of the roots that we see are underground, but there could be some types of plants that have above ground roots as well. So they anchor the plants, they hold the plants upright, and they absorb water and minerals from the soil, and they store the food, are the main characteristics of the roots. Okay. Excellent. All right. Um, the internal structure, they have some of the xylem, phloem, and cambium structures there too on the inside of the root. Okay, that's help for the transport of the minerals. There's something called a fibrous root. These are some types of roots right now. Like you mentioned, some of you guys are growing these in your backyard. They're easier for transplanting and they're shorter, smaller, more compact. But some examples of these would be a banana, have that root. These are some plants with root systems that are called fibrous roots: bananas, coconuts, rice, corn, sugarcane, and grasses are type that would have fibrous roots. So if you're growing any of those in your yard, okay, you could use those as well. Like you mentioned, corn and pepper. I think pepper might classify under the fibrous roots as well for you, Carly, to do. Okay. All right. Carly has carrots. Okay, as well. Carrots growing as well. Carrots you could use as that too, and that would be not fibrous, but that's going to be a tap root. Okay, that is a tap root for that type of root system. So tap roots are large central roots with shorter branching roots. If you ever pull the carrot straight up, they have all these little branches that kind of separate on the bottom part of the root. So some of these types are not only carrots, but mangoes, avocados, tomatoes. Okay, and then Carly, you did say peppers. So peppers would actually be a tap root too. So tap peppers and carrots are going to be under the tap root classification. So you could include that in your research on your project there too if you do decide to do that. Just don't do three types of plants. You could do two. So for peppers and carrots would be good, but try to pick another tree or another one around your neighborhood to do too. Something a little bit different, not just all the plants that you're growing in your garden. So pick one or two of those and then kind of go with that. Okay. All right, Vero, are you have a question there? It looks like you wrote about potatoes and carrots. Yes, you could do that too. Potatoes and carrots would be fine. Just like I said, don't do all three of them as crops, okay, that you grow, but also try to pick a plant, maybe like a sunflower, dandelion, like a elephant ears, maybe you have a palm tree in your yard, palmetto, those types of trees, ferns. Try to have a variety of different ones, but three is all I'm requiring you guys to do. Okay, and that can be included with the plant with a crop like tomatoes and carrots and corn, stuff that you guys may be growing in your yard, in your garden. Okay. All right, moving on. So that was the tap root. Okay. Some other types of root systems. These aren't as common. These are more ones that might be found in like rainforest areas or mangroves. These are the ones that kind of hang down from the midair. They call them aerial roots. They hang down midair and absorb water from rainfall. So those would be the mangroves, wild pine, orchids are actually classified under aerial roots. All right. Okay. And then you have one called stilt roots. They grow down from lateral branches and branching into the soil. Those are kind of similar to like the mangroves as well. Those are ones you're not going to come across as well. All right. Okay, I think that's pretty much the end on roots there. So any other questions on roots? Okay, looks like I have a question here. A couple more. Okay, we got Chris in here too. Welcome, Chris. Good to see you on here as well. Carrots. It looks like you have a pine tree and dill. Okay, like a dill pickle. Yes, absolutely. Those are good ones there, Carly. All right, Vero, you mentioned we grow oranges, bananas, and pears. Okay, yeah, but just pick two of those two, Vero, and try to pick like maybe a type of tree, kind of like Carly, like a pine or an oak, or maybe another plant like a dandelion or daisy or daffodil, or sunflower. So I'm just giving you some ideas there. Okay, but yeah, don't only if you're doing a couple crops, just no more than two crops. Okay, like if you're growing those in your yard, so you can they're a type of plant there too. So tell me some information on them on the since they're a plant. Okay, all right, excellent. Now definitions of flowers. Okay, a flower. Um, Not just a flower in general, but the flowering part of a plant, okay, or the seed bearing parts are of a plant. And they consist of reproductive organs called stamens and carpels. They're typically surrounded by bright colored petals and sepals. Okay, those are some things there that they're classified under the flower, and I'll talk about those parts. All right, they vary in size and shape and color. All right, and flowering plants, like I mentioned earlier in my other segments, are called angiosperms, where they have a flowering part. Okay, they are like they covered the seed part, so the fruit is covered. All right, those are angiosperms. Most of your plants that you have in your garden and you see around in neighborhoods are a type of angiosperm. All right, the flower structure in general. Okay, we have petals, the stamen and pistil are the reproductive parts. Okay, the anther and ovary are also part of the reproductive parts of the plants. All right, and the sepal is the green leaf part that covers and protects the bud from opening. Okay, so the petals are actually the leaves. Okay, they're usually bright colors, and they attract pollinating insects such as bees and flies and hummingbirds. That would be a pollinating not only insect but some birds as well too. Okay. All right. Let's see. Any other questions here? Let's see. All right, Chris. Okay, you wrote. Okay, I'm checking this as I'm talking on some of these here too. So, Chris, you have to do three plants in your neighborhood. Okay, three for you guys to do. All right. Thank you, Carly, for participating in there too. All right. All right, excellent. So continuing on with the parts of the flower here and the petals. All right, they're actually the leaves, like I said, they're used to attract pollinating insects and birds. Okay. The stamen is the male part of the flower, the reproductive part. So the stamen has two parts called the anther and filament. All right, the anther and filament, and that is the stamen is the male part. All right. The female part is called the pistil. All right. And the pistil has a few parts, has three parts to it, and those are the stigma, style, and ovary. All right. So that's the female part of the pistil. All right. Now, the anther is the sac that contains the filament pollen. Okay, so there's a sac-like structure on top of the filament as the anther, and anther, and it collects the pollen. That's the male part. Okay, the female part, the ovary, that's where the eggs develop here. All right, and it grows to become a fruit or a seed coat. Okay, so that's like the seed coat of the ovary part. All right. Now I came across this word here too with regarding flowers. Symbiotic. Does anyone know what that word means? Symbiotic. What does a symbiotic relationship mean? Does anyone know what that means? What is a symbiotic affinity? Carly, Chris, Veryl, one of you guys that are in here, you guys are doing a nice job of communicating questions and asking questions. Okay, we got Jaden. Okay, good job. Welcome, Jaden, to the discussion. I'm talking about plants for today, and I'm talking about symbiotic relationships. What is a symbiote? What does the word symbiosis or symbiotic mean? If you guys, anyone knows, you could type your answer on the side. I'll provide an answer here in a few minutes if I don't get any response. But I'll give you a minute to try to think about the word symbiotic or symbiosis if you know what that word means. Write me a message on that. Okay, looks like Veryl wrote something here. Two organisms that live close in physical ways. Yeah, you're pretty much on the right. You're on the right track of that. When they are two individuals or two organisms, they kind of help each other out. So bees and flowers are in a symbiotic relationship. Like the bee will take the pollen and go to another flower, help pollinate it, help grow other flowers in that area or that community. So they kind of work together. So they work together in that aspect. So pollination is the color of the flower. The flower attracts insects to fertilize, so they're attracted by the color of these petals and so on. And they begin of fruit and seed formation. So the fruits and seeds are attractive to birds who eat and spread these seeds. Okay, and they reproduce the plant. And some seeds are carried on the animals' coats, like the insects that kind of will be the seeds will be dispersed by them flying by, and they'll be dropping off their seeds. So that's what the word symbiotic means, or symbiosis. Very good. All right. Um, some types of flowers here. A couple different types of flowers. Corn would be in its own classification uh, of of a flower, and that's like a monocot. They have one seed, so stamens and pistils are found in separate flowers on the same plant. So corn would be that classification of a monocot with its seed. The diacot would be an example, would be a type of flower called like the holly flower. The stamens and pistils are found in separate flowers on separate plants. So the monocots and diacots in that classification, along with gymnosperms. What was a gymnosperm? Did anyone know an example of a gymnosperm? What is a gymnosperm? If you want to type your answer on the side, I mentioned that one in yesterday's lesson and also in the morning segment there. I talked about angiosperms and gymnosperms. There are two classifications of. I told you angiosperms are a flowering plant that have the seed parts, and that they are covered with a casing. All right, for a angiosperm. Now, gymnosperm, opposite of that. So, what would that be if you want to type your answer? If one of you guys are in here at this moment. Beryl, Jaden, Carly, Christopher. I know you have gotten some responses from you guys. Looks like I have about 7 people in here, so it's good to see people tuning in. Okay, unprotected by that ovary, very good. Or they are an open case. Okay, they don't have a caseling for a gymnosperm. So they would also call that like a naked seed. So they like a pine cone. That's the whole seed right there. That's a gymnosperm. All right. The seeds develop either on the surface or the scales of the leaves, and they're often modified to form cones. Okay, or the ends of short stalks. So that could be an answer for those ones there. All right, so conifers, cycads, ginkgos, or some other types of plants that would be classified as gymnosperms, meaning a naked seed. So that would be like a pine cone, or the cone itself would be its part of the seed structure. Then you got some of the primitive plants in its own classification, like ferns. They reproduce by spores. They don't produce flowers or seeds. All right, and they have xylem and phloem that make them vascular plants. So they have stems, leaves, and roots. Okay, so could be a production, and usually how spores are spread is usually by the wind. Okay, for some of the plants. So a seed is an embryonic plant that is enclosed and it has a protective outer covering called a seed coat, and it's usually stored for food, like some of your seeds, nuts, stuff that you may eat, even like from the grocery store. Okay. They have a protect like a pistachio. Okay, they would have that would be an example of like a seed coat. All right. Any other questions here? Walnuts, yes, very good, very good. That would be in that same classification of a seed. Very good. Let's see. Carly asked a question here. Um, yes, that would be fine. I think you asked that earlier there too. It's almost the same type of question that you had there. Pine tree, carrot, and herb deal. Yes, that would be fine for your project. Yes, good job. Jaden said weeds. What about weeds, Jaden? Peanuts. Yeah, that would be that the a type of seed plant. So weeds and grasses, I would prefer if you don't do that one on your project. Just try to find what you have around your house, or if you're growing something there. If there's a particular type of plant that you have, maybe a fern, maybe a oak tree, or like I said, maybe some of these other plants you're growing, carrots, pepper, and so on. All right. Okay, Carla, you don't have to ask each other what you're doing. You can do that on your own time there. So just try to answer some of the things I'm trying to ask you guys some questions here. And if you have questions for me, ask me. You don't have to ask the other students. You can do that on your own time here. So just ask me what you may have. Okay. All right. Excellent. Um, Okay, so then let's go on to types of seeds. Okay, I was talking about the two main types, and those are the dicots and monocots. Like I said, the dicots have two seed coatings, and monocots have one seed coating. So that would be classified as that. Um, any other questions with you guys? Comments, concerns for the project? I covered most of the stuff on the basics of plants, the five main functions of the plants, along with the classification. Did talk about the classification yesterday. I could review some of those with you. I'll actually review, since there's quite a few of you guys in here. What is the difference between a vascular plant and a non-vascular plant? If you watch the segments from Monday, and or the morning one, I talked about vascular and non-vascular. What are the main differences between a vascular plant and a non-vascular plant? If you can type an answer in, Carly, Jaden, Veril, Christopher, some of the students I've seen in here, um, the difference between a vascular plant and a non-vascular vascular plant. There's some characteristics of both of them there. So if you could write your answer there, I'll check the screen here in a minute or so. Okay, anyone have an answer here? Okay, you forgot. That's okay. All right, vascular. Okay, Vero has an answer here. All right, vascular have thin roots, non-vascular doesn't. Okay, you're kind of on the right track. That's one part. A non-vascular plant does not have any roots, stems, or leaves. So there's only a couple in that classification as non-vascular. Like I said, those are some of your older plants, your primitive plants. Those are going to be your mosses and algae are going to be your non-vascular plants. Looks like Jaden asked, what about an apple seed? That's going to be a seed plant, so that's going to be under your classification of angiosperms, which is going to be a vascular plant. Okay, so an apple would fall into that category there. Okay, vascular plants, some characteristics of vascular plants, I've mentioned these. They have stems, roots, and leaves. They have tissue that moves nutrients around the plant. Okay, that produces food for plants, not only in the leaves, but other parts as well too. Okay, ferns, trees, grasses, flowering plants, those are mainly the ones that are going to be your classification under vascular plants. Majority of the plants you see around your neighborhood, besides algae and moss, probably some of the ones are vascular plants. So if you have any algae or moss, like Spanish moss with an oak tree, those could be ones that you could do if you find around your neighborhood or your backyard, that is a non-vascular plant. So I'm giving you the clue on which ones to use, maybe if you were to pick a non-vascular to compare your plants to. Okay, so Spanish moss is pretty common if you have an area where there's a lot of oak trees. Excuse me, you could find some of those as well. And Mr. Canaloo and I had one in the video earlier this week on Monday. All right, so it just hangs down off of trees for the Spanish moss. Okay, algae. If you live near an area where there's a pond or stream you have in your backyard, that would be an area that would be perfect for that to find some algae, or near an intercoastal area as well too. Okay. All right, so vascular and non-vascular, those are some things you can include in your research paper there, along on top of the five main differences of the parts of your plant, like the root, stems, leaves, flowers, and seeds, included on the research of each of your plant. And then you can include, is my plant vascular or non-vascular? And you could also include, is my plant a monocot or a dicot, how the seed is formed? Is my plant an angiosperm or gymnosperm? Is it a flowering plant, or does it have like a pine cone for being a gymnosperm? So pine cones can be another one. If you have some pine trees in your yard, all right, that could be one you could use as well. Thanks, Carly, for asking. I'm doing pretty well today. Can't complain. Beautiful day. Hopefully, you guys get a chance to go outside later, or if you already have. Okay. Flower seed. Okay, Jaden asked, can I do a flower seed? What type of flower? You have to be particular on that. So give me a particular type of flower. Just don't say a flower seed. Just give me a particular type of flower. So go ahead and ask what type of flower. Okay. Well, you can always think about that, Jaden. Any types of flower seeds that you may have, a flower seed that you may have. Like I said, if you have any plants that you're doing in your backyard or growing any type of crops, like a carrot, like Carly, or a corn, it's like Beryl. Okay, those could be used as well. All right. All right. What is this? It looks like Carly has a question here. Um, Okay, yeah, don't worry about the bird or squirrel eating any type of them right now. So you're just observing what you're doing. You're observing your plant. You might want to take a look at its roots. You might want to take a look at its stems, its leaves. Okay, you might want to take a look at those things, and you make your observations of what you see. Remember, we talked about observations in the beginning of the year using your five senses. So you could include that in your paper as well too, using your observations, your observation skills. Mm, that's, seeing, hearing, sight, smell, touch, what it may feel like. All right, so you can use that to help explain your plant too, as also with telling me the difference between the leaves of each plant and the stems of each plant. Um, the roots of each plant, they're going to be a little bit different. They might be similar, okay, like the pepper and the root, the carrot are going to both be tap roots. Okay, so I'm kind of giving you some clues there on the type of root system. All right, how about magnolia tree leaf? Excellent. Yes, that would be perfect. Actually, Mr. Canela shot that a magnolia tree, but I don't think it was included in the video. Yes, you could do a magnolia tree leaf. That would be an excellent one to do. Some of those magnolia trees are really old. Those would be pretty cool to see in your paper there. So, yep. What's your question here, Carly? Looks like you have a question here. Tried sunflower and okay, you don't have to grow these plants, okay? Carly said don't go and try to grow it in 2 days. If you don't, I'm not asking you to do that, to dig anything up. If you already have this previously going on, that's fine. But I'm not trying to have any, you're not going to grow a plant in 2 days while this is due. So don't um, go ahead and try to plant a garden right now. So use what you have, what resources you have around you in your yard, in your neighborhood. If you don't have anything in your yard, take a walk around your neighborhood. Take a look at some of the plants that you have researched. Go online, research that plant. Okay, find information on it. Find its classification. Find out how it might reproduce. How those seeds, are they spread by the wind? Are they spread by another animal? Do they pollinate? So those are some things you can be researching. All right. Any other questions? Is my plant vascular or non-vascular? Is it angiosperm, gymnosperm? Is it monocot, dicot? talk about its photosynthesis. Maybe they don't get the photosynthesis is they probably all going to get photosynthesis through the leaves from the sunlight, but that's going to be across the board on all your plants, but they might get it differently than other ways. So there might be some ways that you might be able to research that. Okay. Um, all right. So you already tried to grow a garden. Okay. So if you already have a garden, that's great, Carly. Then use what you have, your resources there for that. Any other questions on the plant project here? Looks like I got a few more people in here. If anyone else wants to say hello. So I have Carly, Jaden, Veril, I've communicated with Chris. They have all had some excellent questions for today in here. This is my live stream. I'm on Mondays and Wednesdays. All right. 8:30 to 9:30 and 1 to 2. All right. So that's kind of our time for science. And then I'm usually having you guys have projects and assignments due by Friday. So it gives you the whole week to work on them. So I'm here to assist and kind of lecture and talk and communicate with you guys during these live streams or live feeds with you guys here. So if you want any background information on that, you could always go to the beginning parts of these segments. You don't have to watch the whole entire thing. Usually within the first 20 to 30 minutes of each of them is kind of what I'm going over, talking about plants or your project or getting some background information on it. Plus, you have a brain pop too. The brain pop has 10 questions with a quiz and vocabulary on plants, on seed plants, okay, for this week. Carly, it looks like you wrote, when is the next project? It won't be till next week, and we'll be doing a different topic next week. So I'm going to kind of keep these in different topics. So we won't be doing, most likely won't be doing plants into next week. So plants this week, the basics, the root, stems, leaves, flowers, and seeds on plants, and types of plants and classification of plants. And then we'll be moving on to something different. Okay. All right. It says Jaden has a question. Wait, okay. You're growing a garden. If you're growing a garden, great. Use what you have, but don't. You could look at some of the plants that you have in your garden, and you could pick one from the garden as well too. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay, let's see here. Jaden has said, okay. Okay, what kind of tree leaf? Is there a particular type of tree leaf? All right. Um, yeah, you can do carrot. You can do a tree leaf. Be specific on a tree leaf, the type of tree that you're doing. Is it an oak tree? Is it a pine tree? Fig tree? Apple tree? Okay, be specific. Peanuts, only if you're growing it. I don't know if they're probably growing peanuts in your yard or anything like that. So yeah, magnolia tree, perfect. Magnolia tree, carrot. Maybe pick another one like a lily, a holly plant. If you have one of those in your yard, maybe elephant ears. Those are some common ones, or palm tree, or a palmetto tree. But peanuts, I would prefer if you only pick one from your garden, one or two from your if you had a garden. I don't want all three of them being some type of food that we eat. But yeah, you can do peanut there too. I would let that go too. But if I don't know if you're growing that, so I don't know where you're going to come across the peanut there for you, Jaden. Carly, next project will be next week on a different topic, so I'll introduce it next week on Monday. So it'll be probably on something on body systems is kind of where we're going to go next with things. Okay. So next project will be next Friday. So I usually do them by week, a weekly project for you guys to do and assignment with that, with a brain pop and some kind of assignment. So that's kind of how I'm doing this. All right, any other questions? Let's see here. Okay, I got your yes there. The store for peanuts. No, for that one, no, Jaden, on store for peanuts, no. I would just prefer you finding it in your yard. So don't go out to the grocery store looking for peanuts that way. So whatever you have in your backyard or in your neighborhood, those are the ones I would prefer. Kale, yeah, if you have it in your neighborhood and you're growing it, yeah. Okay, don't worry from getting it from the grocery store or the supermarket or anything like that. Okay. Any other questions with you guys? I'm glad I got some communication with you guys here today. Yes, it says has to be a plant. It has to be a plant. So it could be something that's grown in your garden. It could be something that's looking pretty in your neighborhood with flowers, or it could be a tree. Yep, those are plants. So it has to be a plant. 3 plants due Friday. All right. So you have a couple days to get this to me anytime on Friday to get it to me. It'll be in the morning, afternoon, whatever. So you're researching your plant. You're giving me the comparing and contrasting your plant. Um, Okay, looks like Jaden says here another question. Yes, you look up information. So it's on my yes, you could look it up on I have it stated on today's Microsoft Teams. You can go into Microsoft Teams on today's um, attendance there, or like where you put in for your attendance for Find My Class, and I tell you I have it stated in a paragraph there what to include in your paragraph. You're writing a paragraph on each of these 3 plants that you're researching here. So 3 separate paragraphs on plants that the information you came up with on how do they reproduce, are they gymnosperm or angiosperm, or are they um, are they what are their leaves like? What are their stems like? How do they get photosynthesis? Stuff what I've said in my earlier segments. So if you need to go back and listen to something, you can do it that way. All right, Carly. Question here. Now, we don't have to worry about other students right now, so I'm going to be wrapping up here real shortly. And if there's no more questions, since we're almost out of time, so this is the perfect time to ask about the project itself. Okay, because I'm not going to be live until next week. Okay, for the 6th grade. So, but again, I'm available on email and Microsoft Teams if you have questions. I'm responding to the students that way as well. Okay. All right. Okay, Jaden, you right. I don't know. So I don't know what you're asking there on. Are you referring to Vero or are you referring to the project? So try to ask questions to me, not about other students here. I have to know where Vero's at right now. I don't think he's on here at this moment. Okay. Any more questions there, Carly? Or Jaden? Since you guys seem to be the last 2 that have been responding back to me. Christopher, I don't think he's on here either. He was responding earlier. Okay, looks like Jaden, you're done. Okay, Veryl, you're back on here. Hello, Veryl. Do you have any more questions? I'm going to be signing off here shortly. Okay. Thank you, Jaden. Thanks for answering, giving feedback on the questions you have. Hopefully, I answered everything. Okay, Vero has everything. So get that to me by Friday. So you'll have a couple more days to work on it anytime on Friday on your paragraph on your plant research of the ones you have in your neighborhood, along with the brain pop. So you have a few things due this week. Okay, looks like Carly, you don't think she has any more questions? Okay, excellent. You don't have any more either. Anybody else? Questions? Carly, Vero, Jaden, seems like I've answered most of them. Hello. I don't know who on Andre. Who's Andre? Can you say I say hello? Who is this? I'm not familiar with the screen name here. Who is that? I just came in. All right. So can you state your name? Andre K. Andre K. If you don't have any more questions, I am going to wrap up for today. So now's the time to ask before the session is over. Um, okay, I don't not too sure who that student is. Yeah, he's not one of my students, so I don't know why he's in here at this moment right now. Yeah, he is one of Mr. Canelow's, so you don't need to come into my session here. All right, if there's no more questions of my students, I am going to end for today. Um, just about 2 o'clock. So hopefully you guys have a wonderful day and then go enjoy the nice weather. It is a little bit cooler over these next couple of days, so that's a relief compared to 95 degrees over the weekend. So go have fun, go explore your neighborhood and your backyard with your plants and your plant project due Friday. Any other questions, you can email them to me or send me a message on Microsoft Teams. All right, guys, have a wonderful afternoon and have a great day. Goodbye.